Hello everyone. Welcome to this class on non-destructive testing. In the previous classes, we discussed about one of the main methods that are used in non-destructive testing, which is the visual inspection method. Now, in the next module, that is the second module, we'll be discussing liquid penetrant testing method. And before I go to the content for the class, I would like to give my acknowledgement and regards to Mr. Nice Menacheri, Assistant Professor from Jyoti Engineering College, who provided us with the content to make this video. So I'm extremely grateful to him for providing us with the content. Now, in the second module, we'll be starting off with liquid penetrant inspection. In the liquid penetrant inspection, we'll be dealing with the principles, the properties required for good penetrants and developers, type of penetrants and developers used, the advantages and disadvantages of the method, and different interpretation and evaluation of the test results. Now, first of all, we'll be going on to what is liquid penetrant inspection. Now, actually, liquid penetrant inspection, it's also known as dye penetrant inspection because we use a dye here, or it is also called penetrant testing method. It's actually a widely applied low-cost inspection method which is used for locating surface defects, right? Surface defect or surface defects actually in all non-porous materials. So the main point that is to be considered here is that the method is applicable for all non-porous materials such as metals, plastics or ceramics. And this method is used for detecting casting, forging and welding surface defects such as hairline cracks, surface porosities, leaks in new products or fatigue cracks that can develop in components that have been subjected to cyclic loading. Now, the principle, the main working principle for liquid penetrant testing method is actually the capillary action. The capillary action that you have studied in your fluid mechanics course. In this principle, right, or in this working, or in liquid penetrant testing method, the low surface tension fluid known as a dye will penetrate into the clean and dry surface into the discontinuities present. If at all there are discontinuities or cracks present, the dye will enter due to low surface tension by capillary action into these discontinuities. Then penetrant is applied to the test component by either dipping, spraying or brushing. Now after adequate penetration time has been allowed, the excess penetrant, if at all there is excess penetrant material is there, it is removed and a developer is applied. The developer is actually helps to draw out the penetrant. Since it's a low surface tension fluid, the developer helps in pulling out or drawing out the penetrant from the defect so that an invisible indication that was previously present will become visible to the inspector under certain lighting conditions. So the main action, what is taking place here is you have a penetrant that goes into the cracks. After cleaning, you are applying the penetrant. Then we use a developer to draw out this penetrant from these cracks or defects which are present. So the invisible indication will become visible after the application of the developer to the inspector under lighting conditions. That we'll be discussing in the class. Now, as mentioned before, the inspection is actually performed under ultraviolet light. So the inspector has to view the defect. So the defect can be viewed under UV light or white light depending on the type of dye that is being used, fluorescent or non-fluorescent dye. Now, these are the various steps or processes that are used in liquid penetrant testing or inspection methods. First one is the pre-cleaning method, wherein the surface material or the surface which is to be examined is cleaned properly. Second step is the application of the penetrant onto the surface. Then the removal of the penetrant by using different methods. Then after removing the penetrant, we will be applying the developer. The developer is allowed to settle down to draw the dye or the penetrant from the defects. Then it is inspected, right? Inspected under different lighting conditions in order to find the cracks which are all present. Then finally post cleaning is done. Cleaning is done and the component is again used. It can be again reused. That is the advantage as mentioned in non-destructive testing. Now, this is actually a schematic process for the various steps that are taking place in liquid penetrant inspection. If this is the material, it has a surface crack or a defect inside. Right? This can be due to welding or casting, as discussed. First, what we do is the first step is a cleaning method. We are cleaning the surface with a cleaner before the test. We'll be cleaning it properly. The cleaning is done to remove all the dust particles, etc., that will hamper the effect of the penetrant. So once it has been cleaned, we'll be applying the penetrant. The penetrant, due to the low surface tension, will penetrate into the defects, and after a certain period of time, when the penetrant has entered into the certain number of defects inside the workpiece and has settled down, it is washed away. The penetrant, excess penetrant, if at all is present on the surface, is washed away using, again, another, there are different set of methods where the penetrant can be washed away. Then after removing the excess penetrant, right, the certain penetrant will be remaining inside the defect. It is again allowed to settle down for a certain period of time. After that particular period, we will be applying the developer, right? The developer is marked in yellow color, the penetrant is marked in red color. Now, once the developer is applied, what the developer does is it actually pulls out or it draws out the penetrant from the defects. That is, if there are cracks are present, what the developer does is it will pull out the dye or the penetrant from all those gaps. Then this is inspected for under lighting conditions by the inspector to check for defects if at all it is present. Now, we'll be discussing each step in detail. The first step, as we mentioned, is pre-cleaning. That is, the test surface is cleaned. This is done to remove dirt, paint, oil, grease, or any loose particles that are present on the surface, which could either keep the penetrant out away from the defect or cause irrelevant or false indications, that is, false defects can be caused. So in order to remove all these or in order to avoid all these conditions, we'll be properly cleaning it. There are different cleaning methods including solvents, alkaline cleaning steps, vapor degreasing, media blasting, etc. All these are methods which are used to remove it. The end goal of this method is to have a clean surface where any defects present are open to the surface, dry and free of contamination. Okay, so we need, before pouring the penetrant or before applying the penetrant, we need the surface to be dry and it should be free of contamination. So in order to satisfy this condition, we are pre-cleaning the surface properly. These are the different methods that are used for pre-cleaning the surface before applying the penetrant or the dye. There are two different methods, mechanical methods and chemical methods. In mechanical methods, we'll be using brushing method. Brush is used to clean the surface, or we'll be blasting it using air or other methods. And also we are using chemical methods. Chemical methods are hot solvent degreasing, vapor degreasing, cold solvent degreasing, alkaline degreasing, acid pickling, steam cleaning. Steam cleaning is used for larger products, and paint strippers. All these methods, mechanical as well as chemical methods, are used for pre-cleaning the workpiece. Then the next step is the application of the penetrant. That is, after cleaning the surface, and if the surface is free of contamination, dust, etc., or any type of foreign contaminants, if it is free from any type of foreign contaminant, penetrants are applied. These penetrants are applied by either immersing the job into the penetrant fluid, right, or into the dye fluid, or by brushing it, or by spraying it. The different types are shown here. The workpiece can either be dipped into the dye, or the dye or penetrant can be sprayed onto the surface, or it can be applied to the surface by using a brush. Three different methods are there for application of the penetrant. Now, during the application of the penetrant, there is an important term that is known as the dwell period. The dwell period is actually a certain period of time for which the penetrant is left to be in contact with the surface of the job till it dries. Right? That is the time taken for the penetrant to dry, so that it remains in contact with the surface is called the dwell period. This dwell period varies depending on the type of the dye or penetrant is used, the temperature at which it is inspected, the surface finish, the material on which the penetrant is applied, the type of defect for which it is applied. Generally, the dwell period or waiting period for the penetrant to come in contact with the surface or to enter into all the cracks, etc., they are up to 60 minutes. Will be providing the dwell period. The specimen size, composition, specimen temperature, nature of the discontinuity all affect the penetration time or the dwell period, which is also called dwell time. So dwell time, dwell period are the same. Now, The different methods are there for application of penetrant that we mentioned. Brushing method using a brush, spraying method is there, dipping method is there, or immersing it inside a dye, and fourth one is flowing method. Four different methods are used to apply penetrant or the dye on the workpiece. The next step comes in removing the excess penetrant. This is a very complicated step where precise level of care is necessary to remove the excess penetrant from the surface. So that is, we need to be careful while removing the excess penetrant from the surface. It may be done by direct rinsing with water. We can use directly wash it with water, by cleaning with a solvent, or by first treating it with an emulsifier. We can treat it or coat the surface with an emulsifier and then rinse it with water. But the process of removal of the excess penetrant is a very important and complicated step, right? This is because if there is an excessive cleaning is taking place, the developer will not reach the penetrant. That is, after removing the penetrant, if there is excess cleaning is taking place, right? Excess cleaning is taking place, the penetrant will be removed completely, and the developer will not reach the penetrant, and it indicates no defect. The developer has to reach the penetrant; it has to draw the penetrant outside. So if there is excessive cleaning, the developer will not be able to reach the penetrant, which indicates that there won't be any defect. So that is an error that can occur. Or if the cleaning is insufficient, that is not, it is not properly cleaned, then there will be a contrast difference. That is, when the inspector is viewing it under a certain light source, a less contrast background will be there. So the defect will be difficult to identify. We cannot identify the size of the defect, or we cannot identify where the defect is there because of the less contrast background. So the removal technique is very, very important. The removal of the excess penetrant, it depends on the type of penetrant used. Now, there are three methods are employed to remove excess penetrant. First one is the water washable method. Second one is the post emulsifiable method. And third one is the solvent removable methods. We just need to know the methods. We don't need to know them in detail. The next step after removing the excess penetrant comes the application of a developer. For clear visualization of the particular defect, a thin layer of developer is applied on the surface of the job. Right? A developer is applied. What the developer does is it draws out the penetrant that are trapped in these defects back to the upper surface. The developer may be used in either dry form or wet form. Dry form is dusting, wet form is dipping or brushing. Right? Several developer types are available. That is, several types of fluids can be used as developers. The choice of developer is governed by the ability to pull or draw the penetrant out, or and the inspection conditions. Now, the application of developers. There are four different types of developers that are used. Dry powder developers are there, water suspendable developers are there, water solvable developers are there, and non-aqueous wet developers are there. There is also a developing time. Right? The developing time is actually similar to the dwell period. The developing time is the time taken by the so-called developer to extract or to draw the penetrant outside. So we need to provide a certain developing time, just like how we provided dwell time for 60 minutes. For around that period, we have to provide for developing time also. This is the application of the developer. The developer, this is actually the spraying method where it is sprayed on the surface. The developer, what it does is it will draw the so-called penetrant or the dye from the defect out towards the surface, and then we'll be inspecting it, right? There will be inspection process, interpretation process, as well as evaluation process. The inspection of the test surface should take place 10 to 30 minutes development time. So the development time actually will only provide half of the dwell time. The dwell time we provided 60 minutes. This will be up to 30 minutes. So half of the developing time, sorry, half of the dwell time is to be provided for the development time, and depends on the product kind also. The inspector will observe the sample for indication formation using visible dye. We can use white light, as mentioned before. We can use white light as well as UV light. The inspector will use visible light with adequate intensity, right? Or the visible light is actually 1100 lux is typical for visible dye penetrant, or UV light can also be used. Its intensity is given here. It is, I think, yes, it is 1000 microwatt per centimeter square. is common, and that is given as UV radiation, light intensity. The UV light alone cannot be used. The UV light is used in association with low ambient light, less than 2 foot candles, for fluorescent penetrant examination. So two types of light can be used for inspection. First one is visible light. The intensity is given here, 1100 lux, and ultraviolet radiation, UV light, along with low ambient light is to be used for fluorescent penetrant. So that is, if the penetrant used is fluorescent, we go for a combination of UV and low ambient light. If it is a visible dye penetrant, that is, if it is visible using the human eye, then we can use visible light with a certain intensity. Now, there are typical penetrant inspection, right? These are penetrant indications that are provided. Coarse cracks can be found out, porosity can be found out, tight crack can be found out, shrinkage defects can also be found out. These are the typical penetrant indications after applying the penetrant and after viewing it through the light sources. Now, the next question comes, what can be inspected using penetrant testing? The answer is that you can use almost any material that has a relatively smooth, non-porous surface on which discontinuities or defects are present. Right? So any material that has a relatively smooth and non-porous surface on which defects or discontinuities are present can be inspected using penetrant testing method. Now, second one, what cannot be used, right? What cannot be inspected using penetrant testing method? There are different conditions. First one, components with rough surfaces, such as sand castings that can trap and hold penetrants. They cannot be used for penetrant testing methods. Porous ceramics, we said it is applicable for non-porous, so definitely porous ceramics cannot be inspected. Wood and other fibrous materials, right? Pores will be present, we cannot use the method. Plastic parts that can absorb or react with the penetrant material. Chemical reactivity is there for certain plastic parts that cannot be used for penetrant testing method, or penetrant testing method cannot be applied on those plastic parts. And also penetrant testing method cannot be used on components with coatings. There will be coatings are present on certain surfaces that does not allow the penetrant to enter into the defects. For such components also we cannot check it using the method. Now, the next question will come, what type of discontinuities can be detected, right? All the defects that are open to the surface, such as, for example, rolling process, you have cracks, seams and laminations, all of them can be found out. In casting, there will be cold shut, hot tears, porosity, blowhole, shrinkage. All these defects you have studied in your manufacturing technology classes. For casting defects, all these defects can be found out, or discontinuities can be detected using the dye testing method. For forgings, cracks, laps and external bursts can be found out. For welding defects, cracks, porosity, undercut, overlap, lack of fusion, lack of penetration, all these discontinuities. So for the different manufacturing processing methods, or for rolled products, casted products, forged products and for welded products, all these defects can be found out or detected using the dye penetrant testing method. Now, the last one is actually the post cleaning method. The post cleaning method, the test surface is often cleaned after the inspection, and recording of defects is there. Especially if post inspection coating process, that is after this the material might need coating, so we'll be using it again. Since it is not destroyed, it can be used again. So we'll be recording all these defects that are present, and then it will be cleaned again for post inspection. So this is the post inspection. The test surface here is recorded. Now these are the examples of processing steps that are being used. That is the post processing steps after the testing has been done. These components can again be used since it is not destroyed. So I'll be stopping the current lecture with this. So in the next step, we'll go into the details of the types of penetrants and the type of developers that are being used. Thank you.